Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Rainy back with another YouTube video. And in today's video, I'm gonna be telling you guys about a personal story about why I left the Catholic Church and just the Catholic religion in general. I really just want to emphasize that this is just my personal story. I'm not here to convince anybody to leave religion or, spread no hatred about religion, stuff like that. I really just want to, just put this out there kind of just as like a realization of what wasn't for me anymore. And even then, it's still not something I'm opposed to. I really do respect religion a lot, but I just, as of right now, I don't know if it's for me, and I think I realized that for a long time ago as well. So I just want to tell you guys a story, but just a quick background about me and my religion, stuff like that. So I am a Dominican man, and if you know about Dominican culture, it's very ingrained in Catholicism. I will put up a picture about the Dominican flag, and I will also bring up some information about the percentage of Dominicans that are Catholic and Christian and stuff like that. I will just go ahead and say right now, like, I'm not like the most, I guess, like, educated in theology and just religion in general, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really, like I said, I really just want to make this video about my experience and, what I thought about religion when I was in it. But I am Dominican, and if you know about anything about Dominicans, like, that they are very ingrained in their religion. And I grew up a lot, going to the church and stuff like that. Going to church every Sunday with my parents, as far as like maybe being like 5 and 6 years old. And I'm gonna be honest, like, even when I was a kid, I just had a lot of questions. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, if for my previous videos, if you guys know me, like, I was pretty much like chronically online, as a kid. I pretty much just liked, watching anime and reading books and watching YouTube and stuff like that. And like, whenever I wanted to go, or whenever I, like, church came up, like, I just saw it as like an inconvenience, like, me being a kid, I mean, I didn't understand anything, and like, I was like, oh, I don't want to go to church, like, to do all this crap that I thought back then. I was like, oh, I just don't want to do none of this. But obviously I was a kid, what choice did I have? So I just kept going and stuff like that. And as I got older, maybe once I got into, like, I'd say like my teenage years, so I will say I was baptized when I was a baby. And then I also, when I was a teenager, I was in a youth group with my church. So we did go on a retreat, which was pretty cool. And I did do my first communion as well, which all that stuff I feel like was pretty cool to experience, stuff like that. But I don't know, I'd say just like when I was a kid and when I was just like, becoming a teenager, I just had a lot of questions. And even though I was going to church every Sunday, and even though like I was in doing my first communion and everything, like, I believed it and I felt a connection to religion and Jesus Christ, but I just feel like I had a lot of questions. And so I feel like with those questions, I had doubts, and then I had conversations within myself. It's like, okay, like, do you really believe in this? Like, and for me, I feel like I was afraid to not believe in religion, because it's like I said, it's really ingrained in my culture. Like a lot of Dominican OGs and stuff like that, like they are very big in their religion and stuff like that. So it's like, it'd be, if I told my parents this, or if I was just straight up about it, like, it'd break their hearts. I'm saying, I'm just being honest about it. But honestly, I have to be honest with myself, and I don't want to fake something. I don't want to, I always try to say, like, to always be your genuine self, what I'm saying? And it's just like, I started having the thoughts of like, I don't really see this as for me. Like, I don't really believe in this 100%, which for me is to a certain extent was heartbreaking to me, because it's like, I had always felt like I was religious to a certain extent, but as I got older, I just kind of questioned. I was like, do I really believe in this? And I just, like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's like me having doubts about it and just like my personal experiences and whatever, but it's weird, and I'm not here to fully phase it out. It's just like, I'm just in a very weird state right now, where it's like, on one hand, like, I do believe in religion and I respect it a lot, but on the other hand, I don't know if like I really believe in it all the way, if that makes sense. So yeah, again, like I said, once I was a teenager, that's kind of really when things started setting in, when I started having more questions about, what this all really means, and if I really believe in it. But I will say, this is when I'll go into, my reads and stuff like that. And once I started, I read the Bible, and I was, watching movies and getting really familiar with myself, with religion, stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, yeah, I just feel like one of the main reasons, like, I feel like it conflicted how I saw the world, and it's not the way I saw things. And another thing I do want to say is, like, I really don't want to come off as disrespectful. I'm not gonna come here and say, oh, I just think this is all fake and whatever and that. It's just, I just personally feel like I had, like, doubts with my religion. And it really boils down to me just, like, it just felt conflicting to me, for me to believe in this, and just, like, I just really feel like it just wasn't for me, And another thing is, as well, is that, like, why am I gonna force myself to go to church and attend church and do all these things if I'm not a believer, Because, I mean, if I recall correctly, I mean, it is a sin in itself. And I don't know, I just think, going a little bit deeper into things, like, I just think, like, growing up, I pretty much was scolded with, like, religion, and a lot of the bad things I did boiled down to, like, oh, you're not doing this because you're not reading the Bible, or you're not getting in tune with Jesus Christ. And it's like, religion for me was used in a bad way, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't in a really good and healthy way as it should have been. I think if I was introduced to religion in a healthy way, it probably would have been better. But for me, it was just like, yeah, I just didn't like church. I didn't like going to it. There were times I did like going to mass, I'm not gonna lie, because there were some cool pastors that I had, and they would say some really cool, like, stories and, like, life lessons, like, just to teach from the Bible, which obviously, like I said, that was really good. I did like those type of things. But I just feel like it got to a point where, like, I just didn't believe in, like, anything, and regarding the Bible and Jesus Christ, unfortunately. And like I said, growing up, it was just used in fear, and a lot of things really boiled down to, like, in my opinion, like, if I'm not this perfect person, then I'm gonna go to hell. Because that's pretty much the way my parents were putting that for me. They were just like, if you don't do things this way, and if you don't, like, follow this to, like, this strict regime, it's like, yeah, well, you're gonna be going to hell. It's pretty much to that extent. And I didn't like that, and I was just like, oh, well, no, I gotta live this, like, really perfect life and stuff like that. And oh my god, yeah, when I was a kid, at least when I was a teenager and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I really don't like that. Like, I really don't like having religion and stuff like that used, like, in fear against somebody. Like, I really don't like that. And it's just like, I also just don't see myself, like, living in religion long term. And at least, and mind you, this is everything I'm saying is as of right now. I'm saying things could change, maybe, like, because I'm pretty open-minded. Maybe I'm just confused. Maybe I'm just lost. Maybe I need some direction. Maybe I just, maybe I'll get back to it when I'm older, or maybe, maybe I will realize that religion is for me or something. I have no idea. Whether if it is Catholicism or Christianity, I have no idea. Like I said, I'm very respectful for religion, for all religions, as long as you're not extreme about it, obviously. And that's another thing. I mean, going back to, like, religion being used against me, I just grew up with a lot of people using religion against me in fear, and also just people using it in, like, a very hateful way. So it's just like, a lot of people that I know that were religious, that were, Christian and Catholic, and, they just, I'm gonna be honest, they were just very hateful people. And the way I thought about it is, they were going to church every Sunday, they were singing the gospel music, and, they were reading the Bible and stuff like that. But the way that they acted just didn't match what religion means, I feel like. So it just, I don't know, I feel like it's just so hypocritical, and I'm not, and I shouldn't let, like, those type of people, I guess, like, push me away from religion. But I just feel like the people that I surrounded myself with, and the people that I grew up with and stuff like that, like, it was really just, like, it just pushed me away, really, like, a lot from it. Especially because, like, that's kind of, like, all that I saw. And it's just, like, for me, it was just a lot of, like, people being, like, hypocritical and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just really turned me away. So basically, like, I mean, this all just boils down to, like, me not really believing in the Bible 100%. And then me also just, like, having self-doubts, and just, like, a lot of, just a lot of, like, those personal experiences. Like, I just really don't feel like this is for me. And as I've gotten older, I've gone from basically, being a Catholic, and going to basically being I'm an agnostic now, at least is what I like to identify as. But also maybe going towards, like, the spirituality route, because unfortunately, like I said, you know, reading the Bible and being Catholic and stuff like that, I feel like I didn't have a strong connection. I feel like I didn't feel like this was for me. Versus, you know, now going towards spirituality and practicing things in that nature, I feel more drawn to that. You know what I'm saying? I feel more, me feel like it's like more for me. And I know that a lot of people might see this and be like, oh, you know, he's going like, I guess like the sinner's route, or you know, he's sinning, and you know, this isn't good. But like I said, I mean, it's people like that in general that kind of just turn me away from things, because I'm a pretty open-minded person. I respect religions a lot, and I don't know, I just feel like I became agnostic because of, like, you know, being in Catholicism for so long, and it just, a lot of things didn't make sense to me, a lot of things I didn't agree with, especially just learning more about the world and how big the world is, and learning also about other religions and cultures. And I just had self-doubts. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this is really all it boils down to. So as of right now, I mean, I'm agnostic. I'm still spiritual to a certain extent. I'm still finding my own meaning and my own purpose in life. And, you know, like I said, I'm pretty open-minded. You know, if somebody sees this video and is like, oh, you know, this is what you need to do to get back into religion fully, or, you know, and, you know, if maybe I do need some guidance, you know, this is me coming clean. This is just me being completely honest with myself and me making a video about it. And, you know, this is me being extremely vulnerable, because I know this can be a pretty sensitive topic on YouTube, and, you know, this might attract the wrong crowd. But like I said, I really do just want to emphasize, like, I'm just coming out of here and making this video, you know, to be vulnerable. You know, it's 12 a.m. right now, and I was like, you know what, let me just make a video about this. Like, I feel like it's something I've been really passionate about for a very long time. And yeah, I pretty much just want to get this out there to let people know as well that, you know, maybe if you're feeling like me, you know, you're not the only one. I know that there are people that, you know, go back and forth with their religion. You know, some people are believers for a certain amount of time, some people aren't. Some people go to new religions completely, and stuff like that. It's a lot, you know. It's life, you know. We're gonna experience different things. We're gonna, you know, think about things differently and learn and, you know, get new experiences that makes us change our perspective and stuff like that. But like I said, I mean, as of right now, this is just the position I see myself in. And I also went to, funny enough, I went to a Catholic high school, and while I was there as well, I mean, not that the nuns and like the pastors and everything like that, not that they like made me not like religion, but with it being ingrained in the school, you know, okay, let me be honest. Okay, you know what? Let me be honest. I also kind of didn't like that, but you know, I'll probably say that's more of like a school thing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I did find it cool. Like every morning, you know, we did pray and stuff like that, and you know, we did have religion classes as well. Those things were pretty cool. But like, I mean, like I said, it just, once I became a teenager and once I became an adult, I mean, I sat more in thought with myself, and that's something that a lot of people don't like doing. But I just sat down with myself, and I was like, you know, looking at the Bible and stuff like that, and you know what this all really is, and I'm like, you know, is this really for me? You know, is this what I truly believe in? Because if it is something I truly believe in, then I can really pursue it. You know, I can start going to church, I can start reading the Bible more. You know, I can go beyond from there. But once I really sat down and, you know, I started thinking about things, I was like, oh, I really don't think this is like what I want to pursue in my life currently. So at least just to this extent, you know, this was really all this video was. You know, I'm just here talking about my experience. You know, maybe if somebody relates out there, maybe they understand what I'm going through, you know. And like I said, I mean, I do not want this video to, you know, for people to spread hatred or for, you know, to convince people to leave their religions. No, like I said, I find religion very beautiful. You know, I respect people that believe in whatever they believe in, you know, as long as it's something that keeps you going in life, by all means, you know what I'm saying? Just respect everybody, and you know, go with love and stuff like that. Don't move with hatred. But that's really all this video was. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. I don't want to, you know, yap here for more than I need to, but that was pretty much this video. If you guys like videos like these where I'm honest and I'm just like talking about my experience, stuff like that, please let me know. I really love making videos like this and just yapping about stuff. So yeah, I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.